On behalf of Troop 303, the Dahlonega Baptist Church, and the Chaput family, I welcome you to the Eagle Court of Honor. Please rise for the presentation of colors and remain standing as the Troop 303 band plays the national anthem. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Would all scouts, scouters, and former scouts please rise and join me in reciting the scout oath and law. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the scout law, to help the people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. A scout is
Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Thank you. Please be seated. Pastor of Dahlonega Baptist Church, Bill Hutchinson, will lead us in opening prayer.
On behalf of Dahlonega Baptist Church, I want to say welcome to all of you. It's our privilege to sponsor Troop 303. We are grateful for all of you who make that possible. The parents, but then the leaders, thank you so much for that. This is a great day. We appreciate being a part of this day as we honor Nicklas' transition here today. Would you bow with me? We stand here today grateful, Father, for the life that you've given us. We understand that so much of what you meant for this life is reflected even in the oath pledge that these scouts take. And we are especially thankful to see some of the fruit of that today as we come to recognize Nicklas along this journey, what he has reached, and we're grateful for that. Grateful for those who were mentors in this process and continue to help shape young men to be responsible, law-abiding, helpful citizens. We pray along the way, Father, that as we teach these men, these young men, these qualities, there will also grow in them a sensitivity to your desire for them, your love for them, and your plan for them. In Christ's name, amen.
As former senior patrol leader of Troop 303, I am turning this court of honor over to the Master of Ceremony, Arthur Chaput.
Thank you, Jeff. It's been a long time since I said that oath in law before. I had to scratch a little bit, but it does come back to you, I think. Kind of like riding a bike. So I don't know all of you. Those of you I do know, I haven't seen for quite a while. I'm Nicklas's big brother, or at least his older brother, I guess. So I live out on the West Coast now, and it's been a long time since I've seen any of you, including my family, and it's great to be back today to celebrate Nick and what he's done these last couple of years. At my Eagle Court of Honor, Mom hired a babysitter for Nick and our cousins Ty and Jake. And now Nick and Ty are both Eagle Scouts, and Jake will be in the next year or so. And time sure does fly. So on that note, there are several people in the audience that the family would like to thank. And, I don't know all of you, and I think that the crowd should deserve to see who you are too, so please either stand or give a wave when I call your name. Georgia Senator Steve Gooch, Tim Slavicek, Unit Commissioner, Tim South, Chartered Organization Representative, Daniel Victorino, Tom Atkinson, Etowah District Executive, Courtney Oliver, Etowah District Executive, Beecher Duvall, Committee Chairman, Troop 303, Jason Nipper, Scoutmaster, Troop 303, Allison David, Life to Eagle Coach, Troop 303. We didn't have that when I was going through. That's a neat title. Scotty Irwin, Retired Scoutmaster, Troop 303. Steve Hawk, Retired Scoutmaster, Troop 303. Martha Ann Crenshaw, BSA Jefferson Service Center, retired. Thank you all. Appreciate your help getting Nick to this point. Troop 303 has been sponsored by Dahlonega Baptist Church for all of its 28 years. But why? Why do we have scouting, and why is it worth supporting? Why have people remained faithful to Boy Scouts since its inception in 1910? Here to answer this question of why scouting is Troop 303 Committee Chairman Beecher Duvall. Please welcome to the stage.
It's an honor to be with you tonight, here to honor Nicklas and his mother Betsy for their service. I think Betsy's got 22 years now, and Nicklas will soon get his 22 years in. She proposed that I answer the question, why scouting? I'll start by saying you're all invited to the Methodist Church on Monday, Thursday at 7 o'clock. We're having a drama depicting the Last Supper, and I'm out of Boy Scout with this extra beard and extra hair because I propose to be a disciple. I realize having beard and hair does not make one a disciple any more than standing in the garage makes one a car. And sometimes I think standing in a scout uniform doesn't necessarily make one a scout. You think about what goes into becoming a scout. For over 100 years, we've had 104 million young men sign up for scouts. And out of that, we've had 52,800 become Eagle Scouts. And the mission of scouting is not to make Eagle Scouts. The mission of scouting is to make you a first-class scout, because in earning a first class, you learn life skills. And that's what we're about. Becoming an Eagle Scout is something that these young men want to do. And we're here to help them and to provide the means for them to do that. Along the way, Our program is developed around three essential things. That is character development, citizenship training, and physical fitness. And all the things that we do involve those. Whether it's canoeing, hiking, camping, cooking, development in merit badges, this is what we try to work. Why has Scouting lasted for so long? Because young men have come to believe in and accept the fact that there's an oath and that there's a law. And without incorporating the oath and law into one's person, that's when they become a scout. I think there's a lot of people in uniform, scouts, that don't get it sometimes. And our mission as adult leaders is to help these young men to get that, to understand that the oath and the law provides one way of life, not the whole way. You know, we have our Bible and we have our scriptures that give us a way of life. But we're teaching specifically to be trustworthy. When you get up in the morning, are people going to be able to trust you? Are you going to be a friend to all, and a brother to every other scout? Now that doesn't mean every other one you're a brother to. That means that I'm a friend to me and all the others that go with it. Studies from Baylor University, they've done some in-depth studies on the benefits of scouting. And they find that people who are scouts, young men who are scouts, are ones who are sought out for, they're looked for on their resumes. Over here, Colonel Palmer will tell you at North Georgia College, they seek the scouts to become leaders right away. And especially when they go on their overnight camp out, when they're taking 800 out in the woods to camp out, and 750 of them have never been outside to camp out. So they depend on the scouts to say that this is the way we do it and we can survive. Scouting develops leadership. It teaches preparedness. And if you can write a plan, make your plan work, it builds self-confidence. I could say Miss Betsy told me I had a half hour or less. She emphasized a lot less. I was at the Taste of the Mountains the other day that Michelle did so well at. And there was a Vietnam veteran. I knew he was because he had the hat on that said Navy U.S. veteran, you know, from Vietnam, had ribbons on it. And he was sitting by himself over in the corner. So, seeing that he was by himself and I'm in uniform because we were trying to help out, I go over to say hello and thank him for his service. He looks up at me, a big grin on his face, and raises his hand. He said, "Scout is trustworthy, Lord help me." And he said, "On my honor, I'll do my best." And he just went right. He said, I said, "You're an Eagle Scout?" He said, "Oh, heavens no." He said, "I dropped out when I was 14 because my parents moved." He said, "But I got up to 14, and he said, I love scouting so much that I've never forgotten a day of that oath and that promise that I've made." Now, to me, that's significant. So our mission is to get that oath and promise into the hearts and minds of these young men, so that they will, on their honor, do their duty to God, their country, and their families. Take care of themselves. And you find from the Baylor study that people who were scouts, in scouts, and I'm not just saying Eagle Scouts, but if they're in scouts on average 4 years or more, they tend to take better care of themselves, their bodies. They tend to participate more in neighborhood events. They tend to take more active role in community service. That they tend to rise to the top in leadership positions of the organizations that they participate in. And the fact is that more of them do participate in organizations. They also give more money to the church. That's what the research said. We need to get more scouts. Well, I think that's what scouting's about, and I'm not going to belabor this, but I'm just going to close with one thing. I was listening to Moby in the morning. How many of you hear Moby in the morning? That's 2. All right. Well, at the last scout meeting we had, I was allowed to do the Scoutmaster's 10 minutes. Okay. It lasted a little more than a minute, maybe. But Moby had a retired Marine colonel on the radio praising him for his service and appreciating all that he's done for his country for 30 years of service. And Moby goes through this list of all these things that he's done, all these honors and all these awards and all these campaigns he fought. And he closed his dialogue by saying, oh, and down here at the bottom, and I see you were an Eagle Scout. He said, that's wrong. He said, I'm sorry, it was written down in the paper that you were an Eagle Scout. He said, that's wrong. He says, I am an Eagle Scout. I have always been an Eagle Scout. Once you're an Eagle Scout, you are forever for the rest of your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duvall. Appreciate those words. So, listening to Nicklas talk about his Eagle Scout project over the last couple of years, it's been making me think about my own. And Nick was too little to be too much help on my Eagle project, which is good because being in Oregon, I was no help at all. But he was there. He was there and pitching in and doing all he could. And Mom has some great pictures of him from those days. One of my earliest memories of Nicklas occurred before he was even born. We got the word from Mom and Dad that it was time for one of those cherished family meetings around the dinner table. So we all met around the table and learned that we were going to have another sibling. And we didn't know the gender yet. So we kept referring to this upcoming child as it. And that bothered me quite a bit. I wanted something to refer to the child other than it. And so Mom decided I could pick an interim name, a placeholder name for this child. It was a big deal for me, and I gave it some serious consideration. And the following Monday, we had a PAC meeting. And at the end of the PAC meeting, there was a girl selling Girl Scout cookies, and she ran up to Mom, who had placed an order, and said, Miss Betsy, here are your tag-alongs. That's it. That's it. Tag-along. So Eagle projects have a few guidelines, and one of the more important ones is that it must benefit an organization. The project can't directly benefit an individual. Another guideline is that the candidate show leadership when completing the project. It's not appropriate for the candidate and his family to go out over the weekend and do a service project on their own. You need to organize volunteers, show leadership skills, direct labor. The Nick's project took 218 hours, 48 of which were his. The remaining 170 hours were scouts and adults whom he directed. And today, Ms. Brooke Witt is here this afternoon to share her vision that became this massive leadership project. So please welcome her to the stage.
It is a pleasure to be here today with you. I have had the honor of being involved in other scouts who were seeking their eagle, and they would outline, and I would do some small part in that, but this is the first time I have been able to be so completely involved. Nick came to me with an idea that was fabulous. It benefited the high school. It benefited several programs within the high school, particularly the agricultural program. And I was the CTA director at the time, and so I said, well, I want you to walk me through this. I want to correct something that Arthur just said. He said he was on the West Coast and couldn't help, but I have a very vivid memory of Nick and his brothers and his mom showing up at the high school one day to walk the campus with me, to walk our CTAE area, and outlined a vision that I hope will actually come to fruition. It included not only Nick's Eagle project, but it included 4 other possible areas for future Eagle Scouts to make a contribution to the high school, and it's fabulous. And so I really do hope that other scouts will take this on and see the entire vision to fruition. So it was a family affair, and I was so proud to be part of that discussion on that day. So Nick outlined his vision, and I went to Mr. Connor, the principal at the high school, and he is always supportive of our students, and he said, absolutely, I think it's a wonderful idea. So then Nick approached Miss Malone Harold, the agriculture teacher at the high school, and she said, yes, I'd love that. And that is how that we now have an area that was begun many years ago by the Master Gardeners of Lumpkin County that has now transitioned into not only a wonderful outdoor classroom area, but it's also an extension of our agriculture program that was taken from an initial garden and outdoor learning space into a true outdoor learning teaching space for plant science. And so I know that we owe a debt of gratitude to the Lumpkin County Master Gardeners for having the initial vision to do that on our campus, but then I think Miss Robbie Weehunt and her sister, Miss Poor, also were an incredible help for Nicklas and helping him understand that's not a weed, don't pull that up. And do not cut that back, that is supposed to be there. And just giving him some guidance about gardening in general and some plant science skills that he has now been able to put into use into this garden that will be an incredible addition to our agriculture program. We've always had animal science. I'm sure you're probably aware that we have a barn and a program, but now we have a space to teach some very specific plant science skills. So it's a wonderful boon to our area. And I just want to say thank you for letting me be a part of that. I have had an incredible time watching the process, watching all of the hours that go into this, and I see some eye rolling on Nick's part that yes, I had lots of hours of sweat labor that went into this, but it certainly has turned into a fabulous boon for the school and I think for the community at large. So thank you so much for your efforts.
Thank you, Ms. Witt. So scouting has been an important part of our family since I put on my first Tiger Cub shirt. And all of the male cousins on mom's side of the family are Eagle Scouts. One of the female cousins is a Gold Award recipient, which is the Girl Scout equivalent. Each of Nick's older brothers is an Eagle Scout. And here today to say a few words and to administer the Eagle Challenge to Nick is my younger brother, James.
So Nick, if you come up here with me, we'll do the Eagle Challenge. Say congratulations first. I know you worked hard at it. Just don't forget, we got incredible parents that helped you there, but a whole room full of people that helped too. So, a lot of people. Yeah. But the foremost responsibility of an Eagle Scout is to live with honor. To an Eagle Scout, honor is the foundation of all character. He knows that a scout is trustworthy is the first point of the scout law for a good reason. An Eagle Scout lives honorably, not because honor is important to him, but because of the vital significance of the example he sets for other scouts. Living honorably reflects credit on his name, his church, his troop, and his community. May the white of the Eagle badge remind you to always live with honor. The second obligation of Eagle Scout is loyalty. A scout is true to his family, scout leaders, friends, school, and nation. His loyalty to his troop and brother scouts make him pitch in and carry a share of the load. All of these help to build loyalty, which means devotion to community, to country, to one's own ideals, and to God. Let the blue of the Eagle badge always inspire loyalty. Third obligation of an Eagle Scout is to be courageous. Courage has always been a quality by which men measure themselves and others. To a scout, bravery means not only the courage to face physical danger, but the determination to stand up for the right. Trusting in God with his faith in his fellow men, he looks forward to each day, seeking his share of the world's work to do. Let the red of the eagle badge always remind you of courage. The fourth obligation of an Eagle Scout is to be cheerful. To remind the eagle to always wear a smile, the red, white, and blue ribbon is attached to the scroll of the second-class Scout Award, which has its ends turned up in a smile. The final responsibility of an Eagle Scout is service. The Eagle Scout always extends a helping hand to those who still toil up Scouting's trail, just as others helped him to climb to Eagle. The performance of the daily good turn takes on a new meaning when he enters a more adult life of continuing service to others. The Eagle stands as a protector of the weak and helpless. He aids and comforts the unfortunate and the oppressed. He holds the rights of others while defending his own. He will always be prepared to put forth his best. You deserve much credit for having achieved Scouting's highest award, but wear your award with humility, ever mindful that the Eagle Scout is looked up to as an example. May the Scout Oath and Scout Law be your guide for today and onward. Would all the Eagle Scouts in the room please rise and reaffirm the pledge you made when becoming an Eagle Scout by reciting the Eagle Scout pledge with Nicklas. On my honor, I will do my best. To do my duty to God and my country. I reaffirm my allegiance to the three promises of the Scout Oath. I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself the obligations and responsibility of the rank of Eagle Scout. On my honor, I will do my best to make my training an example. And make my rank and influence strongly count for better scouting. And for better citizenship. In my troop. My community. And in my contact with other people. Regardless of race. Color or creed. To this I pledge my sacred honor. Thank you. Eagle Scouts may now be seated. Nicklas, I charge you to enter this Eagle Scout Brotherhood holding ever before you without reservation the ideals of honor and service. By repeating the Eagle Scout pledge before your fellow members, you have become an Eagle Scout. Though the words you used just now are similar to those by which you joined Scouting, today they mean more than they ever could have meant at that time or any time in the past. When you pledge yourself on your sacred honor using the same words which are found at the end of the Declaration of Independence, you sealed your eternal loyalty to the code of the Eagle Scout. As one Eagle Scout to another, by the authority vested in me by the National Court of Honor by the Boy Scouts of America, it's my privilege and pleasure to pronounce you an Eagle Scout. May the oath you have taken remain true in your heart. Ladies and gentlemen, present you Eagle Scout Nicklas Chaput.
Well, they wouldn't let me do it. Those of you that have been in our scout hut know that it is not the cleanest establishment. It's cold in the winter, and in the summer hot and it's dirty all the time, but it is ours. It's our scout hut, has been. We're very proud of it. So one year we decided to change it up a little bit. The troop was pretty small back then. We had as many adults as we did scouts. The scouts were myself, my brother James and Daniel, Mark and Ben Hawk, and Samuel Royce, and the leaders were Mr. Hawk, Bob Monroe, Steve Royce, and Rob Bone. They were there every week. Well, we started cleaning, and cleaning, and cleaning, and cleaning, and scraping paint off the walls. The more we cleaned, the worse it looked. We wound up building 3 rooms in the back. You younger scouts may not realize those rooms weren't always there. But we built those rooms and finally had a place to put things. And right in the middle of all this cleaning was Nicklas. I was taller than him then. He ran around in bare feet with a diaper and a t-shirt week after week, helping clean. He always wanted to be a big guy. He always wanted to come to the troop meetings every week. I think he was as excited about them as any of the older boys were. One of the reasons is I think Mr. Hawk used to take him out in the police cruiser some Monday nights. And on the best troop meetings, Nick would get to flip the siren on the lights. But he got older, and eventually he was ready to be a Cub Scout. And waiting for him there was Scotty Irwin. I haven't had a chance to get to know the Irwins as well as I'd like, but I've heard their names for forever now. And I've heard that Nick is camping with Scotty and Jack this weekend. And Scotty took the boys camping. Scotty and the boys are on a 50-miler this week. I know Nick and Jack were in preschool together, and they've been friends ever since. Scotty says he has spent as many hours in the woods with Nicklas as he has with his own son, Jack. I'm not sure that Nick can remember a time when Scotty, Angie, and Jack weren't involved in his life. So, on that note, please welcome Scotty Irwin up as he shares some memories about Nicklas and presents Nick with his Eagle badge.
In the box. Well, Betsy's got this set up pretty nice with a tent and all this camping gear. It's going to make me feel like I'm in the woods, see? So I'm going to get my cooler. I'm going to sit right here. This is not my beer cooler. Sometimes scoutmasters out after a good weekend, that's, whew. Sometimes you need one. What I'm going to do today, we're going to have a little fun, Nick. This is going to be a roast, a good roast. So, I'm going to put a stick in you with that fire up there. I'm here to...
It sounds like I'm gonna need that box, though.
Yeah. Okay, I'm here to tell you about a story.
Get a whole box right there. They're named after you, they're Scotties.
Well, you get you raise these kids, and I'm proud to see them grow up. And we've had fun. We've had a lot of fun. So much fun sometimes I'll still laugh about it. But I'm gonna try to get through this. I'm gonna tell you a story about a 7-year-old tiger cub growing up through scouting, kind of the way I saw it, and to the 16-year-old Eagle Scout is today, and how this young man, or how this boy transforms into a young man through the life lessons of scouting. Miss Angie was Nick's first den leader for a couple of years. Bless her. Okay, I've been Nick's den leader, cub master, baseball coach, scout master, mentor, and his friend. Nick has been a big part of my family over the last 10 years. Including a bike rodeo. You remember that one, don't you? Braves game, George game, trick-or-treating, Cub Scout camps, stayovers overnight, USS Yorktown, Ranger Day open house, Scoutland, Rainy Mountain fishing rodeos, Pinewood derbies, fundraisers, service projects, looking for ramas, pool parties, canoe trips, along with numerous campouts and hundreds of miles hiking. But Nick, I've always had this saying about Nick. Nick is Nick. Betsy used to always say, "What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?" I said, "He's just Nick." Well, Nick was this boy, scouting, 7 years old. He was 2 times the size of any kid his age. 4 times the size of Jack, Damien, and Justin. If you knew them at that time. He was clumsy. He had feet the size of snowboards. And the kid's as tough as cast iron. He's always hurt himself. And the kid never cried. He wore glasses, which he broke quickly. Did not like to have his picture taken. If you've ever seen photographs of Nick, he's always... And no kid on earth could get any dirtier than Nick Jackson. We went to go pick the kids up one time at a Cub Scout day camp. Of course, it rained a few evenings that week. Oh my gosh. Nick looked like he'd been wallowing in the mud. He was dirty. He had a he had a white shirt that all the other kids had on. Jack's little rider tongue hung down here. Nick's was about right here, because they needed the men's large at that time. And it was orange. While camping at Rady Mountain one night, Nick thought he had a cat in his tent. After yelling in the middle of the night, I got up to go investigate, to find Nick and threw this giant shoe at it. Well, the cat turned out to be a mad skunk who was holding the ground against me, and Nick's shoe was lying in the middle of the creek. Well, there's Nick. Nick is Nick. Nick earned his arrow light and joined the troop 303, where Allison and Jennifer took the young scouts on most of their outings that first year. Jack and I joined the troop 8 months later, where I became assistant scoutmaster and scoutmaster. I always told Nick, "Son, you could break an anvil if you had one." And he probably could. Well, here's a list of some of the items that supports that. And I've seen every one of these items broke. Okay, that list starts with Vinewood Derby car, a cooler, tent poles, multiple pair of glasses, a camp spoon. You flattened a Cool River tube one time. 3 or 4 of my camp chairs you broke. A boat paddle, a water bottle, a camp cot, a hammock, which turned into a fiasco, remember that? A knife. He broke a new bike. He broke a water pump. A rope swing. He broke his leg. Last week, he broke my hammer. While working on Jack's Eagle Scout project.
Wouldn't make your hammers out of plastic.
And Nick he says, "Boss man, why do they make a hammer out of fiberglass anyway?" I said, "Because they're not supposed to break." Well, Nick is Nick. My first trip, 303, that I participated in, Jennifer and Allison were taking the boys tubing to Helen. And I said, "Great, I'll go." Well, that day, Nick lost his glasses in the river. And by the end of the float, Nick's tube contained about 1 pound of air pressure. Well, Nick was Nick. Back in December, me and Jack was over at Helen trout fishing. And we're sitting there fishing. Jack says, "Hey, Daddy, this Nick lost his glasses that time." So we're sitting there joking around laughing. And I said, "Oh my gosh, Jack, you're not going to believe this." And he says, "What?" I said, "I found Nick's glasses." We're going to stand up. Wait, but first, before I put these on Nick's face, I want you to go get your little tag-alongs and that backpack and come back up here. Okay, put your back over your right shoulder. Ain't no side there. Okay, we're going to shove you tag along with this. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a story going on this, I promise. Okay, so there's your tag along. There's your snack, road. All right, stand there and put these glasses on, and you leave them on. We're finished. Trip 303 was backpacking trip to Jack's River. Nick got his first backpack. I convinced the former scoutmaster to take some of the younger boys, and I would take full responsibility for it. They'd never been hiking. Crossing Jack's River, we'll cross it about 40 times. So I had a meeting with the boys. I had to prepare their backpacks. We was camping with no tents, just tarps. And I told the boys, put everything in garbage bags because it could get wet. Well, about the second or third river crossing, Nick's slumbering through the water, and he had on a black hoodie, a cotton hoodie. I told the boys, do not wear cotton. And he had on jeans.
They were comfortable too.
And so Nick's struggling to get through this hole. It's pretty deep, it's probably about this deep on me, so it's about that deep on Nick, because at that time Nick was taller than I was. Little Damien and Jack, we had to take their backpack off and carry it because they would have drowned. I mean, so they swam across. Well, Nick goes in. There he goes. I never saw him again. He popped up, rolled over, and then he staggers out with this hoodie had like 12 gallons of water. So, Nick, on that trip, everything he had got wet. I mean, everything he had got wet. So,
Trash bags too.
for that trip, I'm going to prepare you in life with a garbage bag. And a back scratcher. In case the toilet paper gets wet. Nick is Nick. After that trip, we went backpacking a lot. Nick became our pack mule. Big boy carries extra items like extra tarps, or a stove, or a first aid kit, or a water pump.
I swear for the job.
By the way, Nick broke that water pump. Leaving himself and 4 fellow scouts sucking mud for the last 2 days of a 5-day trip. About the 4th day, Nick made the comment, my backpack should be getting lighter. I've already eaten all my food, but it seems just as heavy. Well, Nick didn't know this, but that last morning, or that morning before he was heading out, I told Nick to go and get the bear bag that you left my rope up the tree. And I went on, but in the meantime, I put 2 or 3 rocks in the backpack.
But 2 or 3 means 4 or 5.
And then we stopped and had lunch. I put 2 or 3 more in there. Well, it wasn't until I picked up one about the size of a small boulder that really caught Nick's attention to say, you know, my backpack should be getting louder. So, for that trip, you get a rock to put in your backpack. Okay, Nick's trail food on these multiple day trips is not like most people. Nick goes to the cabinet probably the hour before we get ready to leave, the night before we get ready to leave. He pulls out whatever he can find. And this has happened more than once. I've seen this on 2 or 3 trips. Nick's backpacking food consists of peanut butter, a baked potato, and a hot sauce. What a combination.
Delicious.
So, I'm sitting there one day and I'm looking at Nick and he's got this pretty good sized jar of peanut butter and a little plastic spoon that you have a picnic with. And he's got his big knuckles in this jar. He's trying to scrape the bottom of it out and the little fork or the little spoon snaps. He pulls out, he's got peanut butter all over his knuckles. We're laughing, he's licking it off his hand, he's got the little spoon licking. So I carved him out a stick and he's happy. So for that, Nick, I've carved you a spoon. And you can't have a spoon unless you have a jar of peanut That backpack needs heavy. Starting to, right? Well, since Nick's kind of our pack mule, Nick, I found you some hot sauce. And it says, fuel the mule. We're gonna put that in the backpack. And to go along with that, I didn't want to buy a whole bag of potatoes. Okay. So what I did, I got you a sweet potato. This is your meal and your dessert all in one. Okay? There's another 3 pounds in the pack. Well, as a Boy Scout, Nick learned a pretty good lesson. He learned that a hammock can be used as a water storage device in an emergency situation. One time, the first day of our 50-miler, we were looking for somewhere to camp with a huge thunderstorm chasing us. We found a makeshift location, and I told the boys, hurry up, set your tents up, head for cover. Nick just got a new hammock for this trip because his tent poles were broken. I can't believe that. Nick puts his hammock up, and it starts raining. And he's over there yelling, hey, does anybody have any extra rope and tent stakes? So Jack and I, we go over there to help him. As he's holding up a little, small, dome-shaped rain fly about this big that he salvaged from his tent with broken poles, trying to use it as a hammock cover. As the rain began to increase, I looked at Nick, I said, son, you're on your own. Nick jumped in his hammock, threw his sleeping bag in, threw that little 3x3 circle over top of his head, and hung there for a while. As Jack and I ran to our shelter, we was laughing the whole way. The storm passed in about an hour, dropping probably 2 inches of rain. And every time it thundered, Jack and I we'd lay there, we'd die laughing. We couldn't see Nick because we had a big log there, but we were just wondering. Well, after the rain stopped, David and Justin Scott was floating in 3 inches of standing water. Remember that, David?
Yeah, I do.
Miles was wet. John Dyer fared out okay. But I couldn't wait to see Nick. When the storm passed, Nick's little rainfly had blown and landed in a shrub about 30 yards away down the mountain. Nick was rolled up in his hammock, floating in about 6 inches of water from his chest to his knees. And his hammock was about that high off the ground. Because it held about 50 gallons of water at 8 pounds a gallon. So, when Nick rolled out, dumped the water out, we just howled. Nick is Nick. So for that trip in life, I've got you a tarp. And I got you some rope.
That'd be useful.
Another time we went on a trip, 3 or 4 day trip up Stand Indian. Nick just got a new pair of hiking boots. After the first 3 miles, we came to a trail crossing on AT. I noticed Nick was limping a little bit. We stopped, Nick says, "Boss man, my feet's killing me. I can't go another mile in these boots. They're too small." So as I looked at the biggest set of boots I ever saw in my life, I said, "Holy crap, Nick, what size are they?" 14s. Well, Nick's got blisters on his toes, on his heels. He's got blisters everywhere. So as Nick's bandaging up his blisters, I hear George and Steve and Jack over here, somewhere over here dying laughing. Okay, as I turn around and look, Jack has got his hiking boots inside of Nick's hiking boots. Really, inside his hiking boots. I can't find the photographs. And he's got them tied up. Jack had little legs about that big. He was doing this. It was hilarious. I've never seen nothing like that in my life. Well, Nick left a note on those boots. And we hung them on that sign there. It said, Nick left a note. It said, "Free boots to anyone who can wear them." I'm sure the crows have built nest in them. Well, anyway, the last 22 miles of that trip, Nick walked in Crocs. On the water sports. Nick got sent home one time from scout land and he was mad at me. We had a no swimming rule. So I heard some commotion going on down the point. I go down there and Nick's got himself 3 or 4 other boys down there swimming. So as a memento, Nick, I've got you a no swimming badge. Nick's been canoeing with me. We've done a 50-mile canoeing one time. And Nick's this big kid. And I always paired him up with Justin in a canoe. Justin's just a little small fella in here somewhere. It sits up in front of the canoe, and Nick's always in the back, and the canoe's jacked up like this. Nick, boom, boom, boom. Justin's up front. Paddle doesn't even touch the water that Nick's got the Justin's got about this much paddle in the water. And if you get behind the boys, they're like this. So if we did 54 miles, you did 65. We went to the swamp one time, and they did those little canals, and they went from brush to brush, brush to brush. So I come up with a theory on how to correct that, Nick. I made you a custom paddle. Only puts out half the thrust. And our last adventure, we went to Winterfest. And
That was Georgia. Got in trouble there.
and Nick took the horsemanship as a young boy, but Nick was looking for a challenge. So Nick decided he wanted to become a cowboy and ride a bull at the pizza place. So Nick, that video is for probably our eyes only. Break the Take all that stuff off. Okay, no kidding aside, Nick is not a comedian, but Nick has brought joy and laughter to his troop like no other boy can. He's been dedicated since Cub Scouts over the past 10 years. Nick has participated in probably 98% of all outings we ever had, whether it be in Cub meetings, den meetings, troop meetings, outings, fundraisers, service projects, camp outs. He was always in uniform. If Nick wasn't there, he was either bleeding or he had football. No other time is, I mean, this kid's incredible. He has achieved the Eagle rank by the minimum standards required by BSA. Nick has stepped it up a notch. He has achieved the minimum requirements probably 4 to 5 times what BSA requires, making him, in my eyes, one of the top 1% of Eagle Scouts. That includes every one of the Eagle Scouts in this room. Nick, I used to keep pretty good records, and I got sloppy the last couple of years, and I've lost some of them. As a Boy Scout and a teenager, Nick has achieved these accomplishments. Attended 4 summer camps, National Youth Leadership Training, spent over 300 hours of service hours within this community. He's worked on 13 Eagle Scout projects, held every leadership role in the troop, hiked the AT Trail in Georgia, hiked Philmont, Troop 75 in Marietta, hiked over 125 miles with Troop 75 in Marietta, achieved 250 milers with me in Troop 303, hiked 258 miles with Troop 303, canoed over 100 miles. All this totals to 485 miles. That's from Dahlonega to Little Rock, Arkansas, Nick.
Scotty, he doesn't have the hiking merit badge.
The only reason Nick doesn't have the hiking merit badge is because the 20-mile and 1-day requirement. And, you know, we live up here in the mountains, and we've done some 14, 15, 16-mile days. Up and down, up and down, up and down. So if we was actually got on flat ground, we'd have knocked that out in no time. Nick has earned 32 merit badges and camped a total of 93 nights with me in Troop 303 and 75. Nick plays football for Lumpkin County High School, all while keeping a 3.5 grade point average. It is my honor to give you Eagle Scout rank. Ladies and gentlemen, Troop Crew Bruce, newest Eagle.
Scotty, thank you. Those were some of the best scouting stories I've ever heard in my life. I wish I'd been there for half of that. Nick was Nick. Next up, we have former Scout leader Bob Monroe to present the flag to Nick. This flew over the U.S. Capitol in honor of Nick's achievement. Get up here. Nick, now it's your turn. We've talked about you, we've honored you, we've laughed at you. Come on up, get your revenge. I'm not going to get revenge today, but eventually. There'll be a time and a place. See, they can blow it down. All right, so I have 3 pins to give out today, all of which are very important to me, and Mom, Dad, we're starting with you too. If it wasn't for Mom here, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. Well, if it wasn't for all of you in this room, I wouldn't be here. If any one of you hadn't been here, who knows where I'd be right now. But it's because of you, and especially Mom, that I'm here today. If I can figure out how this works. Smarter than a felt box. Smarter than a felt box. Dad's one of those people that doesn't really like to be in the spotlight. He likes to be there, likes to be supportive, but he likes to take a step back and talk to the people who are actually there and help them without being there. Like, he likes to help them, but he doesn't like. You guys know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
You're all here because you helped me get to this point right now. Without you, I wouldn't be. So maybe you all deserve a mentor pin. But that's hard to do. And I've proven my pinning skill isn't that great. And this morning, I was still debating who I was going to give this pin to. Because it's a very important thing. There's many people that qualify. I could give it to Scotty, but he already has about 40 of them. But I think the person who stands out the most to me is Miss Angie Earl.
She's been in my life longer than I could. Without her, I don't even know. I don't think what would happen. But she definitely is the one who deserves this.
You're easy.
I know you're all getting ready to eat, but there's one last brother we haven't heard from yet. Daniel lives in Pennsylvania now, and you weren't sure when he was going to thaw out enough to come down here and speak. But come on up, Dan, and say a few words before we break for food.
I just did thaw out about an hour and a half ago, so I'm very jealous of the tropical weather down here. I was a terrible scout. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to go through the pageantry. I certainly didn't want to iron a uniform. I would have rather been at home, or a band, or at work. Without help from my parents, from the rest of the troop around me, Mr. Hawk, I never would have gotten my Eagle Scout rank. And I didn't think it mattered. But then I got to Auburn University, a strange town in a strange state, and my roommate was the Eagle Scout, and I had a brother. I got to Pennsylvania, a strange company in a strange state, and two of the people I work with are Eagle Scouts, and I have brothers. So this has meant a lot more to me than I ever knew when I was a teenager. Much, much more than I ever thought it was going to. And I'd like to just say how much I appreciate all the help I had getting it, because I certainly didn't do it on my own. So, all of you Eagle Scouts here, if you can please stand up and stand with your parents. I think James has a presentation for us. If I can get the Eagle parents to come down to the front of the room. Sorry, Eagle moms in the back of the room. We are singling you out.
You two, come on, let's go. You are now.
Scouts, take a flower and give it to your mother.
You guys close it up.
Hey mama, I can still recall that day. Came back from the mall and showed me that green shirt all fresh and new. You told me I would soon become an Eagle Scout, your only son. I didn't know that you would be one too. Ma, you earned your eagle. No one can disagree. Ma, you earned your eagle, but they gave the badge to me. When I was a young Boy Scout, I wondered what's it all about, but you made sure I knew the things to do. You sure did. You told me I should be prepared. I didn't tell you I was scared, cause the only one who was prepared was you. Ma, you earned your eagle. No one can disagree. Ma, you earned your eagle, but they gave the badge to me. We hiked and cooked and made a mess. Do you feel tired? But never once have I heard you complain. Not once! Even when I blew the kitchen up, or tried to sing, or the bike, my ever-faithful mom, you still remain. I got one! Well, once I built a fire out back, but gave her a heart attack. But I assured it's all under control. But then you heard the sirens roar and came back running out the door to see that he forgot stop, drop, and roll. What is it? Ah, you earned your eagle. No one can disagree. Ma, you earned your eagle, but they gave the badge to me. So now you know about a lot of things you never knew before. Like Geo rocks and stinky socks and boys who eat then eat some more. Yum. Crammed out 12 of us in your van with tents and packs and gas vans, headed for the hills out on the drive. But packed in there with smelly boys and traffic jams and lots of noise. We're only glad you made it out alive. Oh, you earned your eagle. No one can disagree. Ma, you earned your eagle, but they gave the badge to me. Ma, you earned your eagle. No one can disagree. Ma, you earned your eagle. And I want to say thanks, but I don't know how, so I wrote this song just to tell you now. I'm glad we earned our eagle somehow.
No, I'm just glad they can sing, so I don't have to. Pastor Bill, if you can adjourn us, we can go ahead and have our refreshments. Sir.
It's a great event. Good job. Thank you. I know the family appreciates your being a part of this. There is refreshment here, I understand. So would you bow with me? Father, this is a commencement for this young man. He has entered into Eagle Scout rank, which he will carry the rest of his life. And we pray that it will serve him well as he serves others and serves you. Thank you for the time, for the day, and especially for the great sacrifice made by the families and the leaders here for our young men. In Christ's name, amen. Thank you.